Good day to you. My name's Zach, if you don't know. But I had a word that I just wanted to share, and it's kind of building off of some stuff we've talked about a lot recently. Like if you were here at this last weekend here at Grace, we got a message, and it was a pretty big deal because it was a shift in focus as a church and as like a people, that we're actually shifting our focus to being for Jesus, that like our Jesus would be the center of everything. You may have a lot of questions about that, and I'm not going to go into it all because if you weren't here and you hear that, it might sound very strange to you. So I want to encourage you to go watch the message because obviously that's kind of a big deal to say something like that. So go watch the message if you haven't listened to it. But yeah, so Jesus being the center of everything. And a couple weeks ago, my wife and I, we did a episode in Joy Comes in the Morning, which is a series that my mom does weekly every Monday morning at 10. And they were out of town, so my wife and I did an episode for them for a week. So what we talked about was all focused on rest and that kind of thing. And it really goes along with this shift in focus that Jesus would be the center. So what I want to draw attention to is actually something I said in that Joy Comes in the Morning episode. And that's this. It's all about prayer with the context of rest, but rest at its core is all about being completely focused on Jesus, completely being like abiding in him. Let's say it like that. It's abiding in him. It's being at rest in him. So this analogy that I got during the Joy Comes in the Morning episode that I believe the Holy Spirit gave me, it was really just on the spot that he gave it to me. But what he said was this. So this was in the context of prayer, but it can be applied to any area regarding this as it pertains to making Jesus the center. Is in prayer, we have all different kinds of prayer, right? Like there's prayers of authority, there's, these are some fancy words, but prayers of supplication, petition, that kind of stuff. And then there's just other more specific kinds, but like where, you're praying for healing, you're using your authority, all different stuff like that. Praying in tongues, I guess you could say, would be another kind of prayer. And some of you scholars might be able to lay them out more decently and in order, but that's my very basic little throw out of things. But it's this. We have all these different kind of prayers, and they're all good, right? They're all good in their right place. But very often, and maybe you find this true for your life as I find it true for myself often, is we get so focused on doing all the things that we forget to give priority to the one that it's all for anyway. So Jesus being the center. So this is the analogy. If we have like a meal that we're eating, right? Like let's say we're eating dinner and we have all the sides and we have the main course and all that kind of stuff, like the main thing you want to eat. All the other parts of prayer, like using our authority, praying for other people, praying for our family, asking God for stuff, all that is right and good, but those are like our side dishes, right? The main course, the main thing that we want to chew on the most, that we want to be the thing that fills us, not all these sides, would be that we're just with him. Because at its core, all those other things are about talking to the one that it's all about, which is Jesus, and getting to know the Father, knowing the Father's heart. But how much more important than dealing with any of those things than just being with him, resting in him? John 15 talks about, it's Jesus, and he says, I'm the true vine. And then it goes on to say that we need to abide in him. We need to be intimately connected to him, because it's only when we're connected to him that we actually bear fruit. And the whole point of this is to know him. It's to be intimately connected to him. And you can't be intimate if you're just dealing with all of the things of life and just doing all of the things, even if they are good things. Doesn't mean stop doing that, but it means that our priority should always, first and foremost, be giving him his time, to just wait on him, talk to him. An intimate relationship means you're with the person, right? You can't be intimate and really know someone and be known by someone if all you do is talk to them in passing. In 1 Thessalonians, I think chapter 5, talks about like rejoice always, pray without ceasing, that whole thing. It would be overwhelming if that really meant pray without ceasing means to just constantly be before the Lord in prayer. But what if it's actually just about having your heart and your attention be continually turned to him, that he is a part of everything, that he who fills you is actually just all around you and with you all the time, and your attention and your heart's focus is continually turned towards him. Then praying without ceasing is actually easy. The more aware you are of him, the more you're there with him. Even though he's always there, but it's like your attention actually turns your focus to him. And then it affects and colors everything else that you do. So that the more you are near him, the more you rest in him, the more you're abiding and you learn to stay there. The more you do that, then all of the other things, all the side dishes, if you will, they actually come into their right place, and you actually go after those things with his heart. And when he draws your attention to something specific, you're looking at it with his eyes, with his perspective, and not just doing it the way you think you're supposed to do it or the way he wants you to do it, but you actually are near his heart, and so you see everything through that lens. So this is really, if that didn't make any sense to you, sorry. But the whole point of everything I said is about making Jesus the center, just like we as a church are going after now, especially this year. But Jesus being the center, so that in everything, including prayer, that we stay intimately connected to him, like John 15 says, so that we can bear fruit, and that we would intimately know him and be known by him. So let's do that. Let's make him the center, even in our prayer life, more than dealing and going after all of the things that we can go after and that is good to do, and to ask him for stuff. More than any of that, let's make Jesus the focus, where we just sit at his feet, where we find our rest in him, and actually discover what's on his heart every single day, and just lean into him, because that's the point of everything. That's what he paid for, to know you, that you could know him. So let's do that. Thank you for your time.